Welcome back, everybody, to Unconditional Surrender in Europe, game designed by Salvatore Vasta, published by GMT Games. This is the German Diplomatic Disaster Series. We should be doing, where's the turn? February and March, I believe, in this series, in this particular go-around. And the weather was severe in the cold, poor in the mild, and fair again in the warm zone. Just not going well for the Germans. And we'll just go ahead and get started here. Nobody declared war. We went to the economies. Germans are actually doing well for as badly as they're getting beaten up. They have 14 minus 6 is 8, plus 5, because that's where I'm at on the extra factories. So I actually have 13 factories, which means I get 26. And I do not give one to the Hungarians. The Russians are at 56. Yes, they're ridiculous. And the British are at 34. They're almost as ridiculous. So everybody's outproducing me by bunches. We go into the strategic warfare phase. The Russians should be at plus 4. This is one of those things that I thought about, and this is a little trick that you should know is the axis. You can't really usually beat the Americans and the British with all these bombers that are going to have 3 to 5 in your country all the time. But you can, when you have submarines, mitigate the loss, because I do have submarines to play this turn. And so I go ahead and play it, and he didn't have a partisans to play. So the Russians will be halved. Their plus 4 will be halved, which means the best they're going to get is a 5. So if I can roll a 4 or better, I will gain back a factory. I will probably lose it against the West, in which case, I stay at the 6 lost factories. So it's a way to slow down the loss of factories if you have submarines that you can play. I rolled a 6, so I was doing really well. Guaranteed to get back a factory with a 6. The best he can get's an 8. Or a 10, halved to 5. And he rolled only a 2, which is plus 4 is a 6, halved to a 3, so I actually, for a 1 turn, I chipped the Russians off a factory. Yay. And then I got my submarines back immediately. So, for once, my low numbers helped. So, now against the British, he's got like 4. And I have 2. So, I rolled a 4 plus 2 is a 6, and he rolled an 11, so I got one back, and I took, got one down to 5, and then hit him again. But I gotten really lucky here and rolled another 6, and he'd have rolled like a 4 or something. Actually, I think he would have had to roll a 2. But if he could have rolled a 1 or a 2 and I would have rolled a 6, I would have been down to only 4 lost factories, which would have been fabulous. But I'm kind of happy with the 6. As bad as things have been going in this game, I thought doing okay there. Now we're into strategic movement, I believe. Oh yes, I think this is when I decided. Double check here. Yeah, I decided that the armored in Krakow, I have to do something about the West. So I brought it over here, and I think that's where I ended up putting him, was right there. I'm worried about a major breakout by the Western powers, and I need to have something semi-mobile over there. And no one else had strategic movement. So I went to Axis Operations, and I looked at this, and I said, I should probably try and do something about this invasion. So I flew my airplane up to where my guy moved. I have 3 sorties. Then take the garrison that's in Brest and go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. He attacks there. And then this guy and this guy attack. And he's the primary. So I'm 1, 2, 3, 4, minus 1 for the weather. So I should start off at plus 3 to his minus 1. Then we go to combat commitment, I'm pretty sure. We're both committed. So he threw a tanks first, then I threw an airplane. He threw an airplane. I think he threw his airplane. Yeah. Because I'm -3 on the die roll, and he's bomber is -2 for bomber, -2 for sorties, -2 for weather, and +1 for British, so he's -5. So I was just trying to do some sorties on him, and I only got a 2 net. So he took one, I took one. We both got into the combat, and now we go set the combat die roll modifiers. So I'm +2 for German, +1 for buddy, +1 for buddy. I think I forgot to put my tanks marker out. +1 for airplane. No, I guess I didn't use my tanks marker there. That's right. So I was plus, and he is starts off at -1, and then he gets +1 for a tank and +1 for an airplane. So it's +4 to +1. I thought, halfway decent chance of getting a retreat, right? And I rolled a 2 +4, which was a 6. Not good. And he rolled a 5. +1 is a 6, so he held. Which is kind of my luck, it seems, all the time. Mount a halfway decent assault, and you can't roll the dice, so. Then I moved this infantry unit there, which is a legal move because I'm moving from this guy's zone of control is not the same as this guy's, so I can actually move a space there. So that's why I'm allowed to do that. And then he attacks the Gibraltar. I'm starting off at +2, -2, because 1 for the weather and 1 for the city. I'm a 0 and he's a -1. We go to combat commitment, which we know they're gonna. He throws tanks, and he has an airplane up here. Fighter command, and I said, "Don't do that yet. You have to fight my fighter first." And this is where I threw in my tanks. So then we went to I'm -4. He is -1 net because he's +1 for British, -2 for the weather. I rolled a 1, -4 is a 1. He rolled a 4, -1 is a 3, so he did 2 sorties to me. He only took 1 himself, which one of these days he'll take. So now we're doing the attack die roll modifiers. I'm +2 for German, +1 for a tank, +1 for an airplane, -1 for the city, -1 for the weather. I'm +2. And he is starts off at -1, gets +1 for the tank and +1 for the airplane. And I rolled a dismal 1, +2 is a 3, so. And he rolled a 6. So again, it failed. Then I attacked over here on this low supply guy, because he's starting off at -3. I'm up +1 because of the weather. He threw in an airplane so that he's -2 instead of -3. Rolled a 5 +1 is a 6, and he rolled a 2, or 4. -2 is a 2, so he retreated. I was hoping he'd roll a little bit lower and I'd get a flip and kill him. But it didn't work. Went ahead and took the hex, and then I moved this guy up. This guy there. So this guy can't retreat, that's why I did that. So I'm 1, 2, 3, 4, -1. So I'm +3 to his +2. One, 2, 3, 4, -1. Should be +3. There I am. It's +3, and he threw an aircraft in to make it +3 to +3. I rolled a 6. He rolled a 1, +3 is a 4, which was enough to force him to be flipped. Yay! He did something. So then the next thing up I did is I said, what the heck, I got an outside chance, snowball's chance, whatever you want to call it. So moved the garrison down, went ahead and did the assault. So I'm starting off at -1, and he's at, he's +1 for armor, +1 for American, -2 for flip, throws in an airplane, so he's +1. -1 to +1, need a big split. I rolled a 1. So now if he rolled a 5 or a 6, he would actually eliminate the unit, and he just missed it. So, and then this Vasilov goes marching down here to get into a good defensive hex again on the wrong side of the line for the fair weather stuff. And I think I was just about done. I might have done something over here. Oh, yeah, I moved those guys back. The norm went 3 across the mountain and then 3 back into Krakow. So I did that. And I moved this armored unit, moved into Breslau to sort of be central to defend whatever may come. And the garrison moved back over there. This infantry unit goes 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 into the city, and then the tank moves across. And this lets me hang on to Hungary, hopefully for another turn. And then, did I run my airplanes? I don't remember if I ran my airplanes up. Yeah, I went and attacked with my airplanes, which I probably shouldn't have done. I probably should have just flown it back to Germany for the future. So I was at -2 and I rolled a 2, so it didn't work. I'm going backwards, sorry. So then I tried again at -3 and it didn't work, so just ran them up. So he had one less airplane to use. And then I was done. I still have 8 points left. So I can flip over something, depending on what he flips and stuff. So now we're in the west, and he's just running up his bombers. We just set down. He said, I'm going to drop 4. I said, okay, just put them in Germany. We don't need to put them actually on cities. We know you can reach there, and I can't stop you. So now he's going to force the 4th garrison to retreat. So I'm at a 0, and he's at 2 plus a buddy -1. So he's +2 to my 0. Oh, he threw the other guy in, so he should be +3 to my 0. And he got a 10. Thank God I rolled a 5, so I was only retreated and not deleted. But, you know, things are not going well. Then he brings the convoy that had the 4 sorties, leaves. I do have a surface action marker, but it didn't seem like it was worthwhile to hit that because it's leaving. So it just went and sailed off to North America. Then he took an American convoy and out of, I think it was Liverpool, and dropped it back in there. And again, it just didn't seem like it was worth going after. Then he attacks, I believe he attacks the 12th. Throws in an airplane, so he's like at 0, +1, +2, -1. I think it's +1. To my 0, I think he's attacking the Liguria. He's trying to get this guy to be surrounded for the future. So it was 0-0, and he rolled a 5. And I rolled a 6, so I held. So I got lucky there. Now he's doing the attack on the 1st garrison because it's in poor weather. So he's +3, -1 for the weather, 1 for the city. Did he throw in an airplane? No, he didn't bother to even throw in an airplane. So he rolled a 6 + 1 was a 7, and then I rolled a 5, so I held. And then he had the 8th Army. I think he went after... Yeah, he went after the... He went after the 3rd Panzer. Yeah, because he's 5 and then -2, so he's +3 to my +4. He rolled a 4 plus 3 is a 7. I rolled a 1 plus 4 is a 5, so he gets to do it again. He rolls a 2 plus 3 is a 5, and I roll a 5 plus 4 is a 9. So, and then the first Canadian moved there and there. I think he attacks Vaslov. And runs himself up to 6 sorties. And rolled a 1 plus 1 is a 2, so then I rolled a 2, so it didn't matter. And I think he was done. So now he just goes around and does his supply. Doing the med here first, I think. Then he comes up to do a hearth. Let that guy go to... I don't know what he did as far as supply goes. I think... Oh, he was escorting with all of his fleets. So that was, and then I think this might have been when he was doing the first armor. Yeah. This is the one where I thought he was at 4 and going without, and he says, "No, I'm escorting." I said, "Oh, well, then we wouldn't have gone out there to do that attack because he would have been. I was doing the attack because I would have been -1 to his, like minus a bunch, but he was like, no, he had just cranked up the sorties, and hadn't bothered to tell me that he was doing so. So we took back the surface action marker for that. And he does his assault against the Hungarians and sets up an assault there and plays a surprise attack marker. I think. Oh, I'm doing backs. Sorry. So it moves into there, does this, lines up an assault there, lines up an assault here. So gets a bunch of assaults going. He threw his surprise attack marker to try and make this all work. So he attacks. I'm not sure which one he's going after first. He attacked to the south there. Yeah, he brought out a tanks marker and it failed. Then he attacked to the north. Yeah, to my -2. And he rolled a 5 plus 2 is a 7. I rolled a 0, so I'm eliminated. He gets to take the hex, but because it's not mobile attack, he can't get a free move out of it. And then he goes and attacks the Hungarian up there. That's isolated. Not isolated, but surrounded. He gets a net +4. When you add in, he's got 1 and 2, 3, 4, and 5. How did it get to 5? 1, 2, 3, 4. I don't know how he got up to 5. He threw in his heavy artillery. He shouldn't have been at 5. We did the addition wrong again. It's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, -2. He should have been +4, not +5. So that should be a 6, not a 7, and that should be a 3. So either way, I flipped. So the net comes out the same, but we did the math. You got to watch the math because sometimes one pip can make a difference in the game. Moves up his guards army and attacks it. +0. So he threw in a tanks and an airplane, so he'd end up at +2 net to my -2. Gets a 6+2 is an 8, which guarantees that I'm dead. So I lose 3 will points, so I have 1 will point left with the Hungarians. Yay. And then he does this assault on the 7th. Trying to figure out who's here. 1 there. 1 there. So there's 2, and he throws in an airplane for 3. And it should be -1. I don't know how he gets up to 4. He doesn't have 4. It's 1, 2, 3. Shouldn't have been a 4. Rolls an 8, and I roll a 4. Should have been a 7. 7 to a 4 still would have been a retreat. So it works out the same, but again, the numbers are not going, we're not doing the numbers right. And I know I was tired this night when we ran this series, so I was not double checking all the counts, and it makes a big, huge difference. So he throws an airplane in to get 1, 2, 3, 4, -1 for the weather. It's 3, and then he gets another one for the tank, +4. He rolls a 4. 2 + 4 is a 6, and I rolled a 5 + 2 is a 7, so I held off that one. Now we got the 3 attacks on the 10th. So it's 1 for the shock, and then 2 buddies, that's +5. -1 is +4. And I think he, damn it, throws another sortie in there, so he stays at +5. He rolls a 2, +5 is a 7. I rolled a 3, +2 is a 5. So that was just enough to hold the hex. Showing him what he could still do, and he was like, I don't want to. Just goes in, and so he's 1, 2, 3, 4, -2, so he should be +2 to +2. He rolled a 2 + 2 is a 4, and I rolled a 4. 6 + 2 is an 8, so I stopped him. So I'm getting my 6s in the strangest places. And then I think he was done. Puts that on his attack marker, and so now we go into no supply phase. Now we're doing my replacements. I bring that one down to 2. My fingers. Sorry, my fingers are slowing down here. Now he's just doing his sorties. Cleans up himself in North America. Gets his sorties back here in England. He's doing his Americans. And he does his Russians. And we get into production phase, and I had 2 points left, so I went ahead and put the Africa Army over in the east. And then he got his 7th armor in. Oh, and we forgot that I could build the Hungarians, so he let me build the Hungarian just pro forma, I think. Yes, there he is. And then when we got to the Soviets, he put his, so you can see it, he built his 1, 2, 3, 4. No, he didn't build it. What's going on? There it is. Put it in June 44, so he'll have it back for the summer of 44. And then we go to He built also his 6 tanks army in Brest. And now we're to end of turn phase. I think the only thing I got out of that was my tanks. What did I get? I got a tanks, got a submarines, got ground support, and we also have the variable entry die roll thing to do. And he gets a bunch of Russian tanks, a bunch of British tanks, partisans, heavy artillery, partisans for the Russians, and 3 surprise attack markers for the West. Then I think we go to the variable entry. I think we remember to do it this time. Basically, there's 3 Germans and 1 Russian. Germans rolled a 2, 3, 4, so paratrooper will come in May. The SS comes in June, and the jets come in July. And then he rolled his tanks 3, so it comes in with my SS unit. It's his upgrade. And we're to end of turn phase, and we roll the weather, and it's a 3. Let's bring this up. So now we're in March, so it's a 3 is severe in the is it severe everywhere? 3 was poor, and then severe and severe. So yes, things. So that was another turn with severe in the West. I don't have to worry about invasions this turn, so I don't have to run around trying to garrison supports. Nobody declared war. So I think we're just going to be doing. I'm still at my 26. He's at 54 this time because I actually chipped off a factory. And of course the British are 34. And now we should be to strategic warfare. I'm not moving the turn marker. Soviets go ahead and play partisans, I believe. And I played my subs. Not sure where they're at. Oh, there they are. So we're both halved. I rolled a 6 halved down to a 3. He rolled a 2 plus 4 as a 6 halved down to a 3. So he got back his factory and I got back a factory. And then I rolled a 6 for my subs, of course. He rolled a 5 for his partisans. I think we kind of blew by the Western surprise thing and then kind of went back and said it was an automatic 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It's got 4 plus 2 is 6. Minimum he gets a 7. So I had a 2. I rolled a 3 plus 2 is a 5. Minimum he gets a 7. He rolled better than 1, so he took me back up to my 6. Then we go into strategic move for the. Did I make one for the Germans? I don't think. Oh, yeah. My strategic move for the Germans was. Remember that Hungarian I built? I took him out of Budapest. Out of Budapest and into Nantes. Just to get him out of the way. And I don't think the West had one. Oh, yeah, he took the Malta garrison, thought about putting him in Plymouth and said, nah, just leave him where he's at. He's fine. So then we're into German operations phase. And so I attacked with the, excuse me, gosh. So I went after Calais. He's the primary, so I'm 2, 3, 4. And halved, and then -1 for the city. So +3 to his -1. And I rolled a 5. Total of 5 halves down 2.5 becomes a 3. And he rolled me a 1, so he was eliminated. And he chose to do naval evacuation and evacuated him to Le Havre, I believe. And then 3 turns for his western thing, and then I took the hex with the Liguria thing because I was pretty sure I was going to die no matter what I did. It seemed like a more important thing to do was that. Then I moved this guy 1, 2, 3, 4 for the river, 5, 6 for the guy, 7 for the hex. Do an assault. He assaults. And he assaults. So I'm 1, 2, 3, 4, -1. Or no, 4 and halved. Plus 4, 5. Why am I 5? Why am I going up to 6? Oh, because he's isolated. So I'm plus 6 and halved. He's plus 1. So it's I rolled a 4 plus 6 is a 10, halved down to a 5. He rolled a 5 plus 1 is a 6, halved down to a 3, so he's flipped. So I went to spend 2 more points and tried to get him with the armored. He's at -1. I'm at plus 4 because he's isolated. I rolled a 3 plus 4 is a 7. Halved to 3.5 becomes a 4. He rolled a 6. -1 is a 5. Halved to 2.5 becomes a 3. So I didn't get him. I really was hoping to get him there. So then I go after the 10th at plus 3 to -1 and halved. I rolled a 1, so I'm only at 2, so he survives. And then I go over here at -1, 0 to -1 and halved, and I didn't get him either. Rolled a 1. So that was just horrible. And then he attacked. I don't know what this was. 4 and a 6. What the heck was that for? We're in Western Operations, and I have no idea what he's attacking. I think he was attacking. He should have been a -1, whatever he was attacking. Or no, he's -1 because we're in severe, right? No, yes, we're in severe. So he should have been a -1 to whatever he was attacking. I don't know what that was. But so he moves over there to attack that guy. He ends up at 0. And it moves like this. So he's got 1. Ends up at, should be at 0 to 0. So he rolls a 1, so that doesn't hurt him. And then he did this attack. So he's 1, 2 and halved, I think. Rolls a 2 plus 2 is a 2, so we just hold ourselves. Not sure what he does next. Oh, he's bringing the 7th Army in with that convoy. Moves the American convoy first. Brings the fleet in. Decides to bring in the... Took the med fleet up first and then brought the fleet with a escort so that I wouldn't even think about running them up sorties. He's at 2 sorties each there. And I think he's done. He does an attack. Why does he do an attack? Again, he's got an attack going off and I don't know where. So 1 to a 4 and I have no idea what he was attacking. I don't know what that attack was. That must have been the attack up there. Then when he goes out for supply, I managed to get through his fleet here on the severe weather. But then the second die roll was a 1. The first die roll was a 4 plus 1 was a 5, halved down to 2.5. He rolled a 2, halved to a 1, so I got 2 sorties on the fleet. And then when I was at minus, with 1 sortie, I was at 0. So I needed to get like a 5 or a 6 to get his convoy to run up, and I didn't do it. So he just got to run it up. So he was at 2, 3, he was started off at 1, and he ran it up 4, so, yeah, 1, 2, 3, 4. So, yeah. And then he does, the med is just done. And then we're over to the Soviets, and it's like straight up assaults. And he goes after the armored unit and doesn't. So he had an 8, halved to 4. I was a 7, halved to 3.5, 4. He rolls a 7, halved to 3.5. Don't know what that 1 was for. Oh, I rolled a 1 on my up here when he was attacking north of Krakow. Then he came in with an armored unit and assaults with that, and then decided to attack northward first. He rolled a 5 plus 3 is an 8 halved to a 4, and then a 7 halved to a 4, so held my ground there. Then he attacks the second. He's at plus 1. He rolls a 6, plus 1 is a 7, halved to 3.5 becomes a 4. And I obliged by rolling a 1, so I retreated. So he's making his breakthroughs here in poor weather. Gets fair weather next turn, and I'm, in a world of hurt. And I'm not sure if he did much else. Did he actually make that attack? Yeah, he did. So he's like 3 plus. How's it plus 1? He shouldn't be plus 1. Got to get him to start highlighting the hexes we're attacking because I'm not being able to follow this. Anyway, he was done. And then we go into here. I bring down this airplane because I had a ton of points. I mean, I end up with, took off 3, 6, 9. And then I think I ended up taking that one down too. So, because I had nothing left to build. And well, we're just cleaning up the west and cleaning up the east. And that was me forgetting I had a point for the Hungarians and had a garrison I could build, so I went ahead and built it. I'd actually saved the point hoping that the Hungarian real army would have held in Sloznik for 1 turn in that horrible weather, and that I would have been able to flip it, but it didn't work. So, and now we're to turn tracks here, and the Germans get a bunch, and so do the Americans. The Germans got a submarines, ground support, and then I got an economic reform, so that goes in August, and I'm up to 6 factories now. And he's got a convoy and a fleet coming, and a whole bunch of markers all over the place. And yep, okay. move it to April, and we roll for the weather. So the mild zone went to poor with the 5. Cold stayed a poor. And the warm zone also went to poor. So going into next turn, we will be poor everywhere, I think. Yep, that's it. Okay. So the Russians are starting to make their move. Western allies are a little bit bunched up on the beaches. We'll have to see what happens in the poor weather next turn. As always, I'm Dren608. If you like my videos, please subscribe. Hit that like button so algorithms in YouTube will keep them up for everybody else to find. We'll be back with the next session in about a week or so. Until then, stay safe and bye-bye.